This is the Military and Aerospace Electronics Report. I'm John Keller. It's always refreshing to be with people who share common goals, especially those for whom national defense is a top priority, as I was last week at the Association of the U.S. Army's national meeting in Washington. Now, this is a big show, as many of you know, and wandering through the seemingly endless aisles of rifles, bullets, combat radios, helicopters, unmanned aerial vehicles, boots, armor, and even a combat crockpot, it can be difficult to find a common thread among the attendees and exhibitors there. Yet, although it may not be apparent, the real thing in common among the thousands at AUSA last week is supplying, supporting, and nurturing the men and women in our nation's military forces who are out there on the front lines every day, willingly fighting and sometimes dying to preserve the national and human rights that so many of us take for granted. Now, while in Washington, I was able to have lunch and catch up with some old friends, and much of our tableside conversation was about supporting our military in a way that can keep our troops alive and in fighting trim while making money for private industry. Yes, making money, supporting the military. That's the way it works, as some of our friends out there marching the streets and carrying signs apparently have lost sight of. Agree with it or not, capitalism for decades, if not centuries, has shown itself to be the best way for a free society to raise and equip an effective fighting force, trained to deal with the dangerous world we all live in. Now, on the way back after lunch, we had to wade through another of the Occupy Wall Street type protests that have sprung up in cities around the nation. They were there to voice their opposition to corporate greed, overreaching government, unemployment, and even to making a profit from the defense industry. Now, these people have a right to their opinions, just like I do here. And I support them in that aim. I mean, I'm no fan of corporate greed, overreaching government, and unemployment. At bottom, we might have a surprising amount in common. I just had a problem that day with the way they went about it, especially after loudly proclaiming themselves as representing a peaceful movement. Now, just behind me, walking up the street through the protesters, was a young enlisted Army soldier wearing the maroon beret of the airborne. One of the protesters stepped up to this young man in a not-so-nice tone, said, "You guys are just cannon fodder. They don't care about you, and son, you're next." I'm sorry, but I gotta ask, how peaceful is that? Well, I didn't react, and the young soldier didn't either. But as we passed by the protesters, I heard him say out loud, "What they don't understand is I want to be here. I'm proud of what I do." I couldn't keep silent any longer. I turned around, stuck out my hand, and said, "So are we." Others around me stepped up to shake his hand as well. This encounter drove home in pretty clear terms what we were all doing there in Washington. For the Military and Aerospace Electronics Report, I'm John Keller.